Here we go. Okay, so we are be working on a bearing plate, and we're gonna go ahead and do as we've done before. We're gonna start with our views. We're gonna project our first two, and then for the third one, we'll go over to the right side. And as I mentioned before, your views are even out. They have the same amount of spacing between the top and the front, between these two, the front, top, and between the front and the right side view. And that's even including the dimensions. And while we're at it, we'll now go ahead and put our isometric up here. All right. All right, so that gives us all of our views, and we're gonna go ahead and turn our hidden lines on our views here. Never seems to show it on the first one for some odd reason. It only show when you get to the second one. It always will pop up. Which is odd. It's not showing it on that one either. Now I'm hoping it's not because I imported the model, but I've done that before and haven't really had an issue showing hidden lines. Oh, there we go. All right. Not sure why it did that. Okay, so first thing off is putting in your center lines. So we'll have to find those again. There we go. So center mark. As I mentioned before, I don't care too much for the mark itself because it just gives us a little plus sign. I much rather have a much larger center line, but I don't think that it'll actually work that well. But you never know. And that did not work out at all the way I thought that it would. Yeah, it didn't do anything. All right. So we're going to go to our other two adjacent views, and we're going to put in our center lines for what represents the whole, which is the two sets of hidden lines in the front view and the right side view. All right, so next we're ready for our dimensions, and our dimensions under this one, but there's several different ones, but this one dimension tool right here pretty much does all of them. The only one that I'm going to probably do different is one for a whole call out. Which is that one. Not sure if it's going to work with this imported model. Yeah, it's not. So we're not going to use that one on this one because we didn't make it in this program. It's not recognizing it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put in this dimension. I'm going to put it up there. So on your leader dimensions, they typically go between 30 and 60 degrees. So this one is roughly about 60 degrees from the center going straight up. So we're going to go ahead and put in, tell you what, let's start with the front view. because you can kind of see a few of the details there. Like this section that's right here, you can actually see it a little bit better on this front view here. And this little cut that's right here, it's this cut that's right here. So I'm going to put a couple dimensions that are on our front view here. And of course, we're going to bring them out about a half an inch. And we're going to do what's called a baseline dimension on this. Space my dimensions evenly. And because I did this one already on the front view, I'm not going to repeat it again on the top. So on the top view, I'm going to locate the hole. Remember that you're going to have one horizontal and one vertical number or dimension that's going to locate the center point of where a hole is going to be made. And I messed up on that one. Missed. I'm going to bring that out. Here you're going to kind of estimate it because you're not right at the edge. And I'm going to go ahead and put this one in. And I'm going to line it up with that one. All right. Now, ordinarily, I could go ahead and put in the overall dimension right here. But because on the right side view, I have this little feature right here, I want that to stand out where you actually see what the dimensions for it are. So I'm going to go ahead and put the dimensions on this view instead. So let's see if I'm aligned with the other view. So I want to make sure that we stay in alignment from one view to the next. And then I'm going to do what's called a baseline dimension. So a baseline dimension is you're going to pick one central point that all your dimensions are going to come from. Trying to do this little twisty thing here. And normally you get those little dotted lines to kind of let you know you're lined up with it. Sometimes they're a little hard to see because you got to really pay attention to them. Okay, so here we're kind of stuck with an option whether or not to do this and do it on this side. So instead of spreading them out, I'm gonna go ahead and group them all on the right side view because I can see this feature right here better. So let me zoom in. I tell you all to do it all the time, but I was working kind of far out myself. All right, so I'm gonna do this line. And I'm gonna bring it out with a ½ inch. And I'm gonna use the baseline. I'm gonna use the baseline dimensioning method. I'm gonna bring that one out. And then I'm gonna get the overall height. I'm gonna space them pretty evenly. So that gives me my total length, my total depth, and my total height. And I'm dimensioning the features here for those little cutouts that are on the block. I'm also dimensioning the width of that from the front view. I'm not going to do it up here. And I'm not going to put these dimensions here because they're the exact same dimensions that are over here. But I can see it a lot clearer on this view. and I have my call out for the hole that's cut in the middle. And these two I technically could have. This one I could have actually put on the other view, but um, it's probably better if I can put it in a view where I can actually see what the cutout, what that little cut actually is, rather than putting it on the right side view where I can see the line of the cut, which is this, but I can't actually see the cut itself. All right, so here we are left with doing our title block information. I'm going to use the text tool for that. Make sure that when you're using this, that you're using all capital letters. And if your text does this, which is what mine just did, stretch this box out on it. And you can probably grab it and stretch it out. And you can also double click, put it on center, hit the check mark. And you can also move it around a little bit. So try to even it out as much as possible in the box. If you want to put intro to drafting and design, that's fine, but it goes with the Stockbridge High School. It doesn't go in the next box down. Slow response. Take out a D. Right, with the check mark. All right. Escape. And we're going to change the ones right in the middle. And this is the bearing plate. Or bearing plate. Bearing plate. All capital letters. Make sure you're using all capital letters all the time. All right, our scale is 1 to 1. That is not going to change. We're not going to worry about a weight. We don't have a weight for the category. That's something that we could probably get into later on, but